What's going on, guys? Unknown Player here, and today we're back with another Forsaken video with a bunch more stuff to talk about that's popped up recently. We're going to be looking at the new Fatebringer. Believe it or not, Bungie's actually brought a new version of it into Destiny 2 in a pretty unique way. We also have the big debate on the Sleeper Simulant and some words from Bungie on how they plan on nerfing it in the Gambit game mode, which of course is super interesting. On top of that, I did beat the Last Wish raid the other day, so I want to talk about that, my impressions, loot, and a really cool Easter egg, and also some other bits of news and things I want to let you guys know about. So, like always, if you enjoy this video and want to support the channel, a like rating helps out a ton, and let's get into it. So first things first, I wanted to talk about Iron Banner and its engram system, which got a lot of people pretty confused. So this all stems from the fact that the Iron Banner engrams do say they're supposed to drop as powerful rewards. So you can see this one here is supposed to drop at 555. That's what it's telling me. But of course, when I get it, it is nowhere near that, the actual item itself. So this led a lot of people to think they are bugged, they're not working, they're broken right now, and Bungie needs to fix them at some point. And of course, don't turn in your tokens until they do that. But that is actually not the case. So the engrams are bugged in a little way, but not the way you might think. Essentially, they're not supposed to drop powerful rewards at all, which does kind of make sense. You shouldn't really get powerful drops from turning in tokens. You essentially need to ignore what it says in-game. It's not actually going to give you powerful rewards. It's not supposed to either. It's the same as any other token vendor. So Shax or Zavala, it's going to be the same level as what those drop at. So Bungie acknowledged this bug and they said, we're aware of an issue where Iron Banner rank up engrams are incorrectly displaying powerful gear as rewards. Players can obtain powerful gear in the Iron Banner from the unrelenting and, to be precise, bounties, but of course not from engrams from tokens themselves. So yeah, the engram system is kind of for the most part working as it's supposed to in terms of the drops. It's just telling you a different thing, and it's going to tell you the drop is going to be a lot higher than it actually is. But yeah, just wanted to clear that up. I saw a ton of confusion and a ton of people asking why is Iron Banner not dropping the stuff it's supposed to, but essentially that is why. So next up, let's talk about Fatebringer, some god rolls, and some pretty strange but very cool things Bungie have done with the loot system to obtain super rare rewards. So essentially, as we know, most weapons are random rolls now. You can get all kinds of different perks from them, and that stems even to the raid weapons themselves, which kind of makes them a little bit mediocre as raid drops, because you sometimes get a weapon that's not that great. If you look at most raids, and even Leviathan, for example, you got weapons like the Midnight Coup, the Inaugural Address, which are unbelievably good, and especially those two come as standard god rolls, just always like that. As it turns out, though, there are actually some super rare loot drops you can get, which are basically god roll versions of legendaries, where Bungie has set the perks for you, and they're always going to be the same roll, and they have the best kind of perk combination you can get. Now, these super rare and specially tailored god rolls do have a much higher chance of dropping in the raid, but it's not actually the only place you can get them. So other activities like Dreaming City and Gambit, you can also get these very special god roll weapons. Now, this is an example of one of these Bungie curated special god roll weapons. So this is the Dreaming City Scout Rifle. So there are four main differences between the special kind of Bungie god roll version and also the standard version, as you can see right here. The first one is going to, of course, be the perk selection. You'll always get the exact same roll in the god roll version. So the perks that are going to come on this vouchsafe is going to be Fluted Barrel, Flared Magwell, Dragonflight, and also Zen Moment. Those are the kind of selected perks for it. The second feature, and a pretty easy way to tell if you get one of these special god rolls, is going to drop as a tier 10 masterwork. So already, like, this is default, you don't have to plug any masterwork cores into it. It's going to be tier 10. The third feature is actually pretty cool, but all of these versions are always going to come with a special animated shader. So you can see right here, it's actually moving a little bit and kind of got this like mist glowing over it. And then the fourth main feature is that it's going to always drop as a very powerful reward. So normally the powerful drop is going to be around 5 levels higher than you, maybe 4, maybe 6, maybe 7. These special god rolls are always going to drop around 10, 12, maybe 13 levels above you. So what's interesting is that from the raid itself, you actually have a much higher chance of getting these special tailored god rolls. So they're actually going to drop a lot more common than anywhere else in the game. So I have Toes from Math Class has actually gotten 3 of these weapons to drop from the raid, and I know a bunch of other people have as well. But you can see here the Scout Rifle, the Hand Cannon, and also the Auto Rifle. The super interesting one is the Hand Cannon, the Nation of Beasts. So the perk selection Bungie has picked for this one is actually a throwback to the Fatebringer, the original Vault of Glass raid hand cannon. So this one is always going to come with the very classic Outlaw and Firefly, or Dragonfly as it's called in Destiny 2. And on top of that, of course, it's an arc hand cannon, and also it's 140 RPM. This is Bungie's way of reincarnating the very classic and very famous Fatebringer into a Destiny 2 raid hand cannon. So pretty cool weapon, to be honest. Another one of these special god rolls is the Raid Auto Rifle, the age-old Bond. This one is always going to come with the perk 4th Times a Charm, which is kind of like a play on triple tap. This perk is not unique to this gun. It does come on a bunch of other legendaries, but it also comes with Rampage. So the two combined, you can have a massive magazine and also Rampage, which plays and having a big magazine. Another example is the Raid Scout Rifle, so the Transfiguration, and this one is always going to come with Outlaw and Explosive rounds. So pretty good combination. Not the best archetype because high impact and slow rate of fire, but still, of course, a very good roll. So honestly, I absolutely love this idea. It's such a good combination between having, of course, RNG and random rolls, but also giving a slight chance of getting the perfect god roll that, of course, normally people chase after. These are basically exotic versions of legendaries, so I absolutely love the idea. And of course, my Twitter is down below. Tweet me if any of you guys get these cool versions. I want to see all the combinations and kind of perk rolls you get. get. So moving on, we're going to talk about the big debate, which is the sleeper Simulant, of course, in Gambit, which, as you guys have probably seen, is a very strong weapon. There's no two ways about it. It's definitely one of the most powerful weapons in Gambit because you can one-hit a Guardian to the toe, and it takes a lot less skill compared to a sniper rifle or grenade launcher or rocket launcher. I would say you're probably at disadvantage not using it because it's simply better than everything else. So if you don't use it, it's going to be a lot harder and require a lot more skill and aiming to actually get those one-shot kills and take out Guardians. So of course, a ton of people want to see it get nerfed, and also a ton of people don't want to see it get nerfed, and also even more people don't want to see it get nerfed simply because it might affect PvE and make the gun worse overall, which of course would be a bad thing. It's another one of those situations where Bungie cannot please everyone and someone's going to be annoyed whatever they do. So either way, something's going to happen that people aren't going to like. Josh Hamrick from Bungie, of course, is one of the lead sandbox designers, so he's in charge of a lot of nerfs and buffs and how things work in the sandbox. He actually gave some insight into what they're going to do with it. So he said, as mentioned, our goal for Sleeper is to make it an awesome option, but not the only option. At this time, we're committed to retaining Sleeper's full power, and we'll be tweaking its ease of use instead by reducing its generous aim assist values. Aim assist, if you don't know, is mainly for console, but it's kind of like the magnetic stickiness when you hover over a Guardian, so it helps you aim pretty much. Right now, the Sleeper has some of the highest aim assist in the game, so you kind of lazily hover over a target, and it's going to slow it down for you and kind of make it a lot easier to hit that target. He then said this means Sleeper is going to remain just as effective in PvE while requiring slightly more skill to use in PvP. Too long didn't read. Assuming you're good enough to land your shots, you'll see no difference in behavior. So that is what's going to happen to the Sleeper in Gambit. Its aim assist is going to be reduced across the entire game, but of course the main place you'll see the difference is going to be inside Gambit. I personally don't think it's going to make that much of a difference. I mean, on PC there's no aim assist, so it's not going to be different on that platform, but I mean, aim assist, sure, it helps, but it doesn't make the weapon. I mean, let's face it, either way the weapon is going to be nerfed because it is basically the only option inside a power slot. I think, in my opinion, what I would do is just reduce the ammo in Gambit only, so give it about half the ammo it carries right now. That's just me, but of course, comment down below, what do you think they should do with Sleeper Simulant in Gambit? How would you balance it if you would at all, or do you think it's fine how it is? So next up, let's talk about the Last Wish raid. Of course, my team has beaten it, and I wanted to go over my thoughts, my impressions, and of course, loot rewards and stuff like that. Doing this raid with a team of level 550s and a couple 60s has got to be one of the most difficult things in all of Destiny. It is so incredibly challenging. You have to be perfectly on point, zero mistakes. Obviously, in a few weeks and months when everyone is 580 and 600, it's going to be much easier. It's not going to be as challenging, but as of right now, doing this, which of course is recommended 580, it is seriously difficult. So previously, the Oryx King's Fall raid in Taken King was definitely one of the most difficult raid encounters to date, and on the launch day, within 24 hours, 37,000 people had beaten it within 24 hours, whereas this raid, Last Wish, only 12 people beat it within 24 hours. So I'm not going to do an in-depth tutorial of exactly how to beat Riven because it's very complicated and probably take 30 minutes, but in terms of the general gist and idea of what you have to do here. But essentially, the very cool concept is that you've got Riven, this enormous Ahamkara, who's going to be crawling around this huge pillar in the middle and poking ahead into different rooms. So your team is going to be split into two groups of three that are going to be on opposite sides to each other, and Riven is going to poke ahead into one side and basically do a stun mechanic. You have to stun her and kind of stop what she's doing, and then she's going to show you a combination of which eyes to shoot. She's then going to crawl into the other room with the other team, who gets to do a bit of damage, but she's also going to charge up a massive blast that's going to wipe your entire team unless they shoot the correct eyeballs the first team called out to stop this. As well as dealing with Riven, you're also going to have to shoot a very annoying captain who drops a relic. Someone picks that up, and then you have to guide them, as you can see I'm doing here, guide them to a symbol they call out so they can't see where they're going. I have to tell them which symbol and where it is. As you can see, there are a lot of different symbols, and some of them look very similar. There's 4 different types of snakes, 4 different birds, 4 dragons, and also 4 fish. So this is just one example, but you have to remember here you can see a bird on a branch looking left, a bird facing down, fish facing up, fish going round, a dragon breathing fire to the right, also a bird looking left, not on a branch. You got infinity snake, 2-headed snake, cloud snake, 8 snake, and also a dragon breathing fire to the left. So you do those 2 phases of guiding someone to the symbols and also stunning Riven while dealing with a bunch of annoying multiplying Taken Scions, and you do that on 2 different levels, and then you go to the third one right here, which you can see is a kind of final room. This is a pretty similar mechanic, but essentially all 6 of you are now together, and you do a very similar stun mechanic to figure out which eyeballs to shoot. They're going to be glowing, and then all 6 of you are going to have one big kind of final stun phase. You have to stop her from wiping you out and also shoot the eyes at the end. Also, to make this even harder, while you're trying to hit a very tiny eyes, which if you hit the wrong one, by the way, you're going to instantly wipe. While you're trying to hit those, there's going to be Taken Ogres shooting eye blasts that push you around. So a very annoying obstacle, and also Vex that shield them and make them immune. But after you do this, it's going to be a tiny bit of damage, but the main damage phase is next. Riven is going to retreat and basically kind of recover a bit while holding onto this massive pillar, and you can shoot these massive kind of boils or pimples or big lumps on her, and that does a ton of damage. So for this, you have to worry about trying to be accurate in midair. Of course, bullets don't go 100% straight when you're floating, and also, of course, Axion darts come out of those boils spells when you shoot them, so they're going to 2-hit you probably depending on your level, and it's also another obstacle to look at. So all of that is going to be just one damage phase, and you should get around half her health down, and then you do that of course once more, and that should be the rest of it, and then you have the final stand mechanic, which is the last kind of segment of the health there. At any point when you get into that last 10% of health, you're going to go into the Ascendant realm of the middle kind of pillar room. You have to hop on platforms, while of course there are phalanxes trying to push you off, of course. You have to climb all the way to the top and reach this little beam of light, and then you go back into the main room. She's going to try and charge up a beam and kill you one last time, and this is where you go all out, do all damage, and get the rest of her 10% of health down. Even after all of that, you are still not done though, so her heart is going to try and kill you, even though she is dead. You need to crawl into her mouth and down her throat to find her heart, and then shoot it dead, because the metaphysical bleed is going to kill you if you take too long. If you do enough damage to her heart in the time limit, you are going to finally beat this encounter, and you are done, kind of. That's right, you are still not done. There is one more encounter, although you do get a checkpoint, so you're saved right here inside her heart. When the Queen, the Techians, and Petrovenge talked about killing Riven and ripping out her heart, they weren't speaking figuratively. They literally want you to go in, rip out her heart, and carry it to the Techians. And that is exactly what this last final encounter is going to be. After you kill Riven, you carry her small kind of miniature version of her heart that's condensed down, carry it all the way to the Techians to cleanse it, and that is finally the raid done. But you're going to start off all 6 of you crawling out of Riven's mouth with her heart in hand towards this final room, and eventually one by one of you is going to get teleported inside to a different realm, and there's going to be at the end of it just one of you left carrying the heart and cleansing it. After someone makes it to the finish line, you're all going to get teleported into the chest room, and this way you can pick your loot and use your key that you got and get some kind of reward. My loot wasn't that fantastic. I got a helmet that I already had, but at level 564. Honestly, at this point, no one really cares that much about the loot. It's all about just doing it and the achievement having done the raid. So you do get the standard raid emblem, but also because my team did it before the first weekly reset, Bungie's got a special kind of rewards challenge going where you get eligibility to get this raid jacket. It's basically a super rare collector's item that of course only a few hundred people in the entire world are going to have, so the cutoff is already gone, so if you haven't done the raid already, you can't get this jacket anymore. But yeah, that is the most difficult and definitely most impressive raid Bungie have ever put together. Huge shout out to my team for of course getting it done, and especially Jay Overrated and Asterix for joining last minute. But that is going to do it for today's video. As always, if you enjoyed it and want to support this channel, you can do so by hitting the like button down below. It helps out a ton. If you don't want to miss out on my future videos and want to be the first to watch them, then you can subscribe down below, and of course hit the bell icon next to it to turn on notifications. You can follow my Instagram and Twitter down below in the description. Click on this image right now to watch another video from myself. But as always, I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you all in the next one.